Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm going to tell you the curse, your sudden but inevitable betrayal story of how my Thursday FLGS Dungeons and Dragons night, Dungeons and Dragons group was severed. Like, it was destroyed, really, by the betrayal of a player. All right, so let's get into this. All right. So basically I ran an 11-session Dungeons & Dragons campaign, Eberron Obsidian. You can find videos for it right here on the channel. And basically, one of the players that was in there after the game was like, hey, I'm really enjoying this game, but I love Eragon, and I have this idea for an Eragon D&D 5e game. Would you like to play? And I was like, yeah, great. I'd love to, right? And he's like, well, who are we going to play with? And I'm like, well, I'm in, right? And I was like, you're welcome to invite the rest of the players here in the Dungeons & Dragons group. And he's like, well, nobody else is going to join because I've run for them as a dungeon master before, and they said they didn't like my Dungeons & Dragons campaign because my encounters weren't balanced, right? I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's not a problem for me. Listen, next Tuesday, I'll see you here. Let's get it done, right? So we did. We jumped right into this Dungeons & Dragons Eragon campaign, right? And with one player, one dungeon master, right? And that, to me, that's all you need. I don't mess with I don't F with solo games. I just don't do it, right? Like, but one player, one dungeon master, I'm in. I really think that's all you need to run Dungeons & Dragons. And honestly, I think that it's maybe some of the best games, right? So we start up, right? Session 1 goes by, and I could see why the other players weren't playing. It was the pace. This guy's pace was very, very slow. We had a 2.5-hour game, and virtually nothing happened. In fact, I'm not even going to recap for you what happened in Session 1, because it didn't matter, right? At the end of Session 1, I was going to go to, basically what happened was, at the end of Session 1, there was a situation where I was going to go, this Eragon campaign is taking place after all 3 Eragon books, 10 years, okay? So I am a knight of Queen Neswata, my character, Walkren, right? And I'm going to go find Eragon, who has taken 100 dragon eggs to the east, right? To the far east, to this area that's very open, right? So we run Session 1, and literally a person in the group comes, a person in the FLGS who was playing Modern Magic, saw us playing 1-on-1, and he said, are you guys playing 1-on-1 Dungeons & Dragons? And we're like, yeah, we sure are. And he's like, oh, I just finished Modern. So I was like, hey, these are our times. So that gentleman came in and started playing in my game, and then because I was sharing my Thursday night slot with this player for Eragon, he was invited into the Eragon game as well, which, the Eragon Dungeon Master was like, yeah, join our game, right? And then one of my other players from the Marvel Multiverse RPG came in, and so this second session would have 3 players, right? So we jump in, and here's what happens. Same nonsense, terrible pace. We spent 2 hours doing nothing, right? And an hour and 50 minutes doing nothing, like literally, oh, you're going to camp, right? Just terrible, terrible pacing, right? But then at the end, we finally get to Eragon and Saphira, right? And so I come up and I say, hey, Eragon, I know you've been here a few years. I know you have a good relationship with Saphira, but you have 100 dragon eggs. We've traveled from the Queen. The Queen has sent me here. Bring me a dragon that's old enough to ride, and I'm going to ride that dragon, right? And so Eragon says, hey, wait a second, listen, it don't work like that. You have to be friends with the dragon first. I'm like, listen. I serve the Queen. The Queen's under attack, and the kingdom, okay, the queendom, needs protection, right? We ain't got time for the nonsense way that you made your relationship with Saphira. You found the eggs in the woods. You found her eggs in the woods, and then became friends with her, right? These dragons, right, they're going to serve the Queen exactly like I serve the Queen. Bring me a dragon that is old enough to ride. I will master that dragon and ride it. And Eragon's, and so then the Dungeon Master says, Saphira growls at you. And I said, listen, lizard, and I, and my character takes out my sword, and I say, you put those fangs back in your face, or one of us is going to leave this room dead. Do not ever threaten me again, right? Now I'm talking to your master, Eragon, and you do not ever show those fangs to me again, or I will take your life, worm. Right? So, because Saphira growled at me and showed her fangs, right? I'm a knight of the queen, man. I got to take that nonsense, right? So, here's what happens. One of the players, not the new player, one of the players who had joined the game, is like, oh no, you can't talk to Saphira and Eragon like that, and kills my character. The other character, the new person who had joined, is a cleric. They take me outside I'm at the edge of the mountain. They revive me and say, hey, we're going to go back in there, you're going to apologize, and everything's going to be cool. And I'm like, I'm not apologizing for nothing, right? But thank you for giving me another chance to get a rideable dragon and to return to the queen with a rideable dragon and set up a new system for how the dragons are acquired as mounts. He kicked that new player kicks me off the mountain, right? And I die from a 500-foot fall. But every single player character at the table killed my player character, right? And then the dungeon master was like, yep, that's what should have happened because you should have listened to Saphira. And I'm like, nah, man, you ain't gonna, I don't care if you got a dragon. You have that thing bare its teeth at me, I'm a knight of the queen. I got a sword that was given to her. I'll put that through its eye, right? I will slay that dragon, right? So all that happens, right? And it was tense. It was a very tense ending to the game. So I leave, and I was upset, right? Because I didn't like being killed by both player characters, right? Now, I did not curse. I did not raise my voice, right? But I'm intense and adamant, and everybody can read my face, right? So then I leave, right? And then I extend and then before the week is out, the dungeon master says, hey, to clarify, that campaign is over. And I'm like, hey, thanks for letting me know that campaign's over. I'll see you Thursday night for the Marvel Multiverse. So he's the dungeon master for the Eragon game. And so I say, hey, I'll see you Thursday night for the Marvel Multiverse RPG, right? And he's like, and then I said, would you like the following Thursday to run your Percy Jackson Half-Blood Titanic campaign that you had told me about? And so the Eragon Dungeon Master says, no, I'm going to run with the established player and the new player, and we're going to continue on with the Eragon campaign, right, without you. I'm sorry, but you're out. And I was like, whoa, well played. There's your, curse your sudden, but I didn't say it to him. I said, I'll tell you what I told him in a minute, but I was like, curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal, right? He stole my players, right? And so I said, listen, yeah, and he said, I'm going to use this Thursday night. I'm going to use the Thursday night gaming session that you set up, right? Ongoing session at the FLGS to run without you. You're no longer allowed at the gaming platform you set up. So I'm like, wow, right? So I send back and I said, you know what? Listen, the entire Thursday night is yours. I'm no longer, and I'm ending the Marvel Multiverse RPG effective immediately, right? And the entire Thursday night is yours. So one, right? I didn't revenge him by, I literally gave him the night. I'm like, it's all yours. Go with God. You can run the whole thing. It's all yours now. The whole Thursday. You're going to kick me out one night of it? You can have the whole slot, right? And so I immediately just reached out to every Marvel Multiverse RPG player and said, campaign's done, right? And told him, and get this. He said, listen, I'm going to run with the new player and the established player, and I'll tell you when you can rejoin. And I said, that's very cute. I will never join or rejoin any game you run in the future. It's not going to happen, right? There you go, right? So that's how it ended. That's how that's the second curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal event. The first one happened after 2.5 years running Dungeons & Dragons with the Sunday home group. And then this one was 6 months with the Thursday FLGS group. But In both of those, I had huge campaigns that were completed. In the 2.5 year, I had no less than 3 or 4 different campaigns that were completed. In this one, I had an 11 session Eberron, Obsidian, Strixhaven, like extremely successful, extremely strong Dungeons and Dragons campaign, which reached its full fruition. Unfortunately, the Marvel Multiverse RPG session ended abruptly. Whole night is yours. Your betrayal has won it for you, right? That's where it is. I just wanted to give you the full story. I think that player betrayed me and should not have done that. We should have had this is like breaking up by text. It's done by cowards, in my humble opinion, right? And so I think we should have had a real conversation, and then maybe this thing could have been avoided the way it went down. That's my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion. Do you think I handled this poorly? I would definitely love to hear your feedback. And I'm going to say this to myself. I want your feedback, and I want you to tell me what to do, and I'm going to try to listen. I struggle. I have a lot of hubris, right? So I can't promise I'm going to listen, but I'm going to try to listen. And when you give me comments on this video saying what I should do, I'm going to try to be as gracious as possible to receive your advice. I'm covering my eyes and pushing my soul down, because I know that's going to be hard, because I can almost smell the advice that I think is wrong coming. But I'm asking for your advice, and I'm willing to take it, and I'm willing to hear it. Every single word of that is my humble opinion. I'm very eager to hear your humble opinion. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and may you have a wonderful millennium.